Welcome to the finale of the F100 build. We're going to pick it up where the last video left off, so if you haven't watched those, go back and see them and let's show you what happened. So as you can see, I've got the truck up in the air because I'm just going to be painting the underside of it. And there's a couple of things that I wanted to check as well while it's up in the air. I'm happy to say it all looks really good under here. No rust or rot, which I kind of knew from looking underneath it when I can. But this is the first time I've actually had it up in the air. And like I say, I think with a nice coat of chassis paint under here, it will be really good and last for a long, long time. But it's a good opportunity for me to have a look at the transmission and things like the engine mounts, which I've spotted here, not been tightened up, and there's not actually a bolt on that one at all. So that will need rectifying, make sure that the engine doesn't come out. So I'll be doing that. Then one of the other things I spotted and I thought about was Speedo. So obviously the vehicle has the Ford Speedo in there, which is a mechanical drive, and what I want to be able to do is to link up the transmission to that Speedo, because I think it's important to have a Speedo. So on a TH350 box, the Speedo is actually here. And you can see, first of all, that it is weeping slightly. So someone's basically plugged that hole with, I don't know, some kind of silicon. So I'm going to have to try and get that out. I might be opening a can of worms here. And what I'll do is I'll put a new Speedo drive in, then I can run the Speedo cable up there to the cab. But the perfectionist in me doesn't like this at all. So I'm going to be sorting this out, unplugging that and fitting in a new Speedo drive. So what I also need to work out is what size Speedo drive gear to fit on it. So there's a calculation that I'll have to do in order to do that. So let's go over to the computer and do that now. So over on my laptop here, TCI Automotive has a really handy sort of calculator to work out how many drive teeth you need on your gear. So in order for me to do that, I need to have a few bits of data to tell it what it needs to know. So first of all, how many drive teeth? So a quick Google tells me that a TH350 has 7 drive teeth in the transmission. The axle ratio, again, what I know is that it's a 1997 Ford Thunderbird rear axle. The ratio of that is 3.27, which I've calculated from looking at the transmission, and again, our good friend Google. And then finally the tire diameter. So it's got 15-inch wheels and 60, whatever it is, but in inches, the total diameter of the wheel is 23.74. So I'll key those into the calculator, and that tells me 19.42 teeth. So the nearest I can get to that is 20. So I'm going to order the, excuse me, I'm going to order the little bullet that fits into that transmission gear to run the Speedo, and then I'm going to order a gear drive with 22 teeth, and that will hopefully mean that the Speedo is as accurate as we can possibly expect from a classic car. So I'll get those on order and we'll fix that, and hopefully that weeping that there is there as well with the new transmission bullet, which I'll show you, that should hopefully solve that weeping as well, because we don't want the transmission to be dropping any oil, especially when it's actually really, you know, it isn't dropping any oil at all so far. So that's all really good. So yeah, another good job I think worth doing for the next owner, and we're so close to finishing now, well worth doing. Okay, so it's time to get these final jobs on the F100 done. So what I have already done is drop the oil, put a new oil filter on there. I've dropped the coolant out. What I have also done, which we said we were going to do, is over here. This is where the Speedo connects to the transmission. So that was basically, they had a drive in there, but they'd filled it with silicone and bunged it off. So I've got the, as you see on the video, I've got the correct drive, calculated the right size gear that we need for it. That's then held in by this little clamp here. And we've now got a Speedo cable that runs there up to the Speedo. So we're now going to have Speedo, which is great. The bed is now on, and I need to just bolt it down. So the bolts are here somewhere. Where can we see one? Where are we? Trying to find my bearings. So yeah, bolts, sorry, over here. I need to bolt these up, and I just want to get the bed level, make sure it all works well, bolt it down, and that's all good. And then what I'm going to do is give this all a final coat of chassis paint to give it that protection and make sure it all looks smart and is going to have some longevity to it. And I can tidy up a bit of this wiring a bit more as well. So yeah, again, final jobs before we get it on the road and up for sale. Well, it was inevitable, I suppose, really, of a car of this age. But when wire brushing underneath, I did find some soft bits in this floor plan here. So I'm just going to cut those out, put in some new metal. I've also had to pull out that carpet that was in here, which wasn't the best. So what I'm going to do is I've ordered a new carpet. So I'm going to fix that, paint it all as I will the underneath, put down some underlay, put the new carpet in, and just make it perfect in here. So yeah, shame. Even the most rust-free vehicles, there's an inevitability, and it was one of those things that I could probably have just painted over, maybe seam sealed, but again, I want to do it properly, so yeah, I'm going to get to it. Just like that, no more holes. So yeah, I've just made a panel to go into that section there, weld it all, ground it down, and now I will seam seal, and then I'm going to give this whole area here just a coat of paint. I'll do the same on the driver's side as well, just so it matches, because then I'm going to lay some soundproofing down, then the new carpet will go in, and yeah, that's done. Okay, so I've given this a lick of paint. As you can see now, we know it's all protected now here on the top, and it will be underneath as well. The driver's side has been plated. Not a great job, in my opinion, in the past, but it is rock solid. Like I say, it's not as neat as a job as I would have done myself, but nonetheless, it's solid. I've given that a coat of paint as well and seam sealed the bits around it. And then yeah, next step once this is dry is I will soundproof all of this, and then I've got a brand new carpet to go over the top of that as well, so it'll be really a nice place in here. I think I'm glad I've got the new carpet because the old one was a bit rubbish, so worth doing. And now over to here. So I've been chasing around a couple of coolant leaks. This is the heater controller, and this valve was broken or jammed, so I put a new one in, and then it was leaking a bit from here, so I fixed that. And this was weeping a little bit from the temperature sensor for the fan as well. So it says you can't put PTFE tape on it because it needs to earth, but actually that surface is still touching it. So I've just put a little bit of PTFE tape on it because I want that to obviously not weep. And now what I'm going to do is pressure test and fill the coolant system to make sure it's all good. And then that's pretty much it. So let's get on to that. All right, 2 days of wire brushing, cleaning, and ultimately painting. And I've basically painted the underside of the vehicle. And yeah, I hope you'll agree it now looks like a new car. So yeah, really pleased with how that's all looking. And like I say, it's kind of rust resistant chassis paint, so it's all going to be good now, protected. Yeah, it wasn't a fun job, and just look at the amount of rubbish that I've been wire brushing off. So I am absolutely filthy, but we're one step closer to completion, pretty much there. Okay, so let's vacuum fill the system. Oh, you will notice I've painted the radiator as well. So what I'm going to do, this is hooked up to my air compressor, and we have a gauge here. You plug this into the radiator, this kind of plug thing, which creates a seal. And then we have 2 valves here. This one we drop into the coolant for filling, which we'll do in a bit. And this one is the valve that basically applies the air pressure. So it blows air past it and sucks all of the air out of here. And what we'll do is when we open this valve and turn this on, it'll suck all of the air out of the system, and you'll see all the hoses compress. And what we can then see is if it holds pressure, because that'll tell us if there's any leaks in the system. So open that and then hit this, and away we go.
So we really want to get it up to around here, around the kind of 20 psi level. We'll see how we get on there. You can see all the hoses collapsing here, which is good. So yeah, it's holding at 20 there. So what I'll do is shut this valve here, and then I can kill that. And then basically I'll leave this for maybe 10 minutes or so to just make sure it holds pressure. And that will just test if there's any leaks in the system anywhere. And then what I can do is then come back and I will drop that other end in there and we'll fill it up. So we'll come back in 10. Okay, so 10 minutes have passed. Stood on 20 psi, so that's good. I've now plopped that into the coolant. Now what I'm going to do is open this valve, and that will then draw all the coolant up and fill all the air gaps that are now in there. So let's go for it. There you go, you can see it all filling up, and then what will happen is these coolant pipes will then start to expand as they fill with coolant. And you can see the pressure dropping as it draws the coolant in. So yeah, I'll leave that for a moment to just do its job, and then we'll have a fully bled coolant system. Okay, so I have now put some nice insulation and soundproofing down before putting the carpet down. I think that'll just make it feel a little bit more refined in here, which is never a bad thing. So yeah, like I say, I've purchased a tailored carpet, a proper carpet from Rock Auto that's now going to go in, and I think it will really elevate it in here as well. So it was worth doing. New carpet's in. So yeah, they're not a perfect fit, but actually they're pretty good. And I really think it, with the soundproofing in there as well, it makes it so much more refined in the cab, which I think is a great thing. I had to bend up some trim here to make a new threshold on this side because there wasn't one, but that's worked really, really well. It's holding everything in place. And the other good news is I've actually found provision for some three-point seat belts. So I took out the lap belts that I'd installed, left the center ones in, and put 3-point belts in here. So that's good, gives it a bit more safety. And then I can now throw the seats back in, and that should be the interior looking really, really good. Right, it's been some time since I've filmed anything on this. So this video has been filmed over the course of months. I've had so much stuff going on, which I won't bore you with, but I am back on the F100 and just kind of finishing bits off. So let me just tell you a little bit about what I've been up to, I suppose. So first of all, how good does this thing look aired out? It just looks unreal. That stance is otherworldly. And you'll notice there's a number plate now. It's registered, ready to go on the road. So what I thought I would do is actually get a bit of expertise in. I wanted to get it, I got it running okay, but it was getting a bit hot. So what I actually did was get a chap, I'll put his details in the link if anyone's interested, but to come and actually run a Krypton tuning machine on it. So they put a probe in the exhaust and they measure all the gases and everything like that. I wanted to make sure it was running as good as possible. And we learned a couple of things. First of all, the engine's really healthy. There's nothing bad happening there, which is excellent. And the other thing we found is that it has a big cam in it. It's got a high lift cam, which I suspected might have been why it was running hot. So basically it's now tuned to where it needs to be for the cam. But because it's got a big cam, I want to give it a little bit more cooling. And also, annoyingly, that fan that I fitted has just stopped working, which isn't ideal. So I had that fan on there, electric fan. To be honest with you, it just didn't seem to pull that much air. And like I say, it's seized as well. So it's obviously a piece of crap. So what I've done is actually purchased a much larger double fan with a shroud, which is going to pull a lot more air through and should give it the cooling it needs to keep that lovely cammed engine running. So it's sounding great and it's running well. So I'm just going to basically pull out that fan, fit the new one, and then just run it up, make sure all the temperatures and everything are where they need to be. And then, yeah, it's it's pretty much ready for me to take it for a drive. So really exciting. So fast forward to current time, I got the fan fitted and very excitedly I was able to take it for the first drive. And this is when disaster struck. So I got about a mile down the road, and you know when you go past bushes and you get the reflection of the sound, and I could hear some grinding. So I brought it back to the unit, got it up in the air, and me and Mad Danny looked all over it, trying to see if something was dragging. You know, obviously it's a lowered vehicle, so you expect a certain amount of scrubbing. And we couldn't find anything. And so we decided to investigate further and look at the rear differential. And when we undid the sort of drain hole, you could see filings in there. So we ended up pulling the cover off the diff and seeing what was going on inside. So let me show you. So when disaster struck, this is what we are looking at. So this is the rear differential, and you can see all of the metal shavings in there. It's not looking great, but it looks like someone had spaced out the crown wheel here with some split washers rather than spacing forwards the pinion, which is what you're supposed to do. So this was probably not running true, and so it's just basically eaten itself. You can just see the amount of metal chunks in there. So yeah, very, very sad. I'm going to basically put it back together because someone wants to come and see it, and we'll see what we're going to do from here. But a very sad end to what's been a very involved and quite fulfilling build. So we're now in the current time, and someone did come and view the vehicle, a really lovely, great guy called Tez, who'd been after the vehicle for a long time, and he fell in love with it from the YouTube stuff, which is absolutely amazing, and certainly has been a real benefit of this channel. But he came all the way down from near Leeds to have a look, and basically he decided that he still wanted to take the vehicle with the differential not working, and what he's going to do is install a limited slip diff. So I have we agreed a price. Obviously I sort of heavily discounted it, which more than accounts for the work that's going to need to be done on the parts, and leaves a bit of money in his pocket for if he wants to do any more to it. And I'm now I've loaded the truck up on my trailer. It just about fits, and I'm going to go and deliver that to him. So a sad ending to what was a brilliant build, and yeah, really gutting that it ended in the way that it did. After doing so much work, to then find something like that was pretty devastating. But nonetheless, I'm really happy that it's going to a good home, someone who, like I say, has wanted the vehicle for a long time, and they're going to get their hands on it, and they'll be able to get it finished, put their own stamp on it, and they're going to have a vehicle that they love and they've wanted for a long time. So a happy ending in that sense. Just not happy for me financially, I suppose, really. But in this situation, the best thing for me to do is to cut my losses. I don't have the skill to rebuild a differential. I certainly wouldn't. I wouldn't want to rebuild a differential and, you know, and it then go bang, you know, soon after, especially if I sold the vehicle, and I don't have the money to pay someone to do it. So it was the best solution for me in the you know, given the scenario that we were in. It obviously means that I have got some money back in, which is really helpful. Like I say, if you watch the video on the Austin, I am going to be doing this more of as a hobby now, really. But I am going to reinvest in another vehicle and build something probably more, you know, for myself, really, I suppose. So it'll be slightly slower, but for you guys, very much the same. So yeah, sorry to end this video on a bit of a sour note, I suppose, really. But I did, annoyingly, I didn't get any footage of me driving it because it sounds incredible and it now runs great, and that big cam sounds awesome. But I did get some great photos, and I got some footage of it just to show you what it looked like at the end, and that will be the end of the F100 series. So feast your eyes on what it looked like, and I will see you in the next one when hopefully we'll wrap up the Ram Charger, or indeed I'll show you a new vehicle. We'll see how we get on, but I hope you're all well, and I'll see you soon.
she was going long. Devil walked away 'cause she knew what she was doing, knew what she was doing.